on top of it being like a film that's very realistic in a
Yeah.
very real world. So all that adds like technical challenges and just having to make sure that it feels real, it feels grounded. And I think Angus talks a lot about that stuff too in multiple interviews, how things need to feel tactile and real and the weight of everything.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Movie Podcast. My name is Daniel, and joining alongside me today are my fellow. You know what? I'm just gonna let's end off the Lightyear run, and you're my Space Rangers. That's who you are, Anthony
Hello.
and Shahbaz.
To infinity, and I'm not going to finish it because I'm pretty sure people are tired of us saying that.
Yeah, we've said it a lot.
I feel like we're running Lightyear into the ground right now. People are like, we get it.
This movie hasn't even come out yet. Let us enjoy it. Shay, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. I had work today, and it was a really busy day. And now I'm here getting to talk about the things that I love. Oh, man, I love talking about movies, and I love talking to people who make the movies that we love, especially the people that are animating them, because they're always, like we always say, the unsung heroes. So we love getting their opinion on it, and we love getting their takes on what all went down when making this movie.
I love it. Anthony, how are you doing?
Doing well. It's been a busy day here at the Movie Podcast. We've been building assets, scheduling all our interviews. There's a shit ton of stuff coming down the pipeline. It's crazy. This week is going to be nuts. And then following week, who knows? There might be more stuff and then more stuff and more stuff. But yeah, today was a great day. Good work day. Got a lot of things done.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, we love doing this work, and we know that it takes a long time to do it. So, thank you, and bear with us as we get through all of the episodes and the content and everything that we're making. It's been a lot. Yeah, this week especially, we're playing a little bit of time traveling right now because there are so many interviews, and I think I was telling both of you. This is probably a record for the most people that we're talking to in 1 week. And again, this doesn't always happen, but I think from Friday to Friday, we had about 12 different people that we spoke to on the show, which is absolutely crazy when you think about, there were years that we didn't even have that many people in a year on the movie podcast. And now that was just this week for us. Again, it doesn't happen often, but please look forward to all of the incredible episodes we have coming your way, because as always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday. And watch out throughout the week for all of our latest episodes, including our Lightyear review, which is out right now. If you want to continue the Lightyear talk, you can go check out our interview with Angus, MacLane, Galyn, Susman, and composer Michael Giacchino right now on the Movie Podcast feed. We also have a great episode that we just dropped on Monday, talking about all of the news of the week, including The Last of Us, Joker 2, Scream 6, and the Spider-Man No Way Home re-release. So there's lots to look forward to and listen to right now on the Movie Podcast feed. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd at the Movie Podcast. Join us on Discord. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. Check out our show notes for all of those links and more. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, please subscribe, ring the notification bell, like this video, do all of that fun stuff. But today is a very special episode because we get to talk to some of the animators behind Lightyear, like Shay was saying. Today on the show, we are welcoming Rob Gennings, Emilie Goulet, and Donald Chan of Pixar Animation Studios. They'll be joining us to talk about their roles on the film. We'll be talking a little bit about their history, how they got to Pixar, and a lot more. I mean, this is pretty cool. We've gotten to talk to some animators before on the show for What If, and talking to the directors is always amazing. But like Shay said, the animation team, they're the unsung heroes. They are the names that you'll see in the credits. You'll see them sometimes in a big block of names, and we want to make sure anytime we can on the show to give the spotlight to them, because it is without their work, we wouldn't be able to even talk about this movie today or talk about any movie really on the show. So we're just so grateful for the opportunity. And again, thank you to Disney for connecting them to us and onto the Movie Podcast. And what's really cool is that they're all Canadian too. So it's awesome that we got to have some Canadian talent on the show. How are we feeling about this, Shay? Shay, are you ready to talk to some Pixar staff?
Oh, especially if they're Canadian, I'm down.
You're ready? Anthony, are you ready as well?
100%. I just want to say, it
Galyn.
reminds me of the time when we did the animators from What If, who were all
Yeah.
Canadian as well. It's always nice to connect with creatives from our country who like are building these huge movies, and it's good for our neck of the woods, just because a lot of people come out of here going to California or wanting to go to wherever, but staying in Canada. And we have tons of animation studios here, and Pixar has I believe their location in Vancouver is huge for
Yeah.
us. It's very big, and it's great to be able to talk to them, get to know why, how they build probably the greatest looking animated movie of all time.
Yeah. So let's get right to it. Let's go to Infinity and Beyond, and please welcome Rob Gennings, Emilie Goulet, and Donald Chan to the Movie Podcast. Hi, Rob. I'm Daniel.
I'm Shahbaz.
Hi. Nice to meet you, Rob. Pardon?
How's your day going so far?
Good. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this.
That's awesome. First and foremost, love your shirt, by the way. I just want to call that
Oh,
out.
thanks. Yeah, I figured it'd be appropriate to wear. So.
Oh, definitely. Well, thank you so much again for your time today. We loved the film. We loved your work on it, and I just want to ask, how does it feel to finally have this movie coming out into the world?
It's kind of surreal. I don't know. Like, I've worked on lots of animated movies in the past, but like to be attached to a Pixar film with such like a well-known and well-liked character who's been around for 20 years, it's kind of like, I don't know. I guess maybe it'll sink in after I've seen it in the theater, but it still feels like I'm in this kind of like weird daydream thing.
Oh, I believe it. I definitely believe it.
I gotta ask, like, what are some of the movies that you kind of grew up watching that really inspired you to get into this animation?
Well, okay, one that comes to mind is The Secret of Nim. I used to love that one when I was a kid. And then when I was in school for animation, actually, I did some like character studies where I was animating Mrs. Brisby. So there's that one. And then I guess if I go like really far back, I remember sitting in the movie theater with my mom to see Pete's Dragon. And I don't think it was the original release, but that's one of my very first memories of being in the movie theater. So, I mean, animation has kind of been part of my life as long as I can remember.
Definitely.
Yeah. Seeing that combination of, real world with animation, I think must have been also just super shocking at that time too, because there wasn't that many movies out there that were doing that.
Right. Yeah. There was that. And then obviously like when Roger Rabbit came out, I remember seeing that in the theater and being blown away for the same reason. And then, fast forward a few more years, and then you've got Jurassic Park, where you've got dinosaurs walking around. And that was another one that was like hugely influential on me. So, yeah.
I love that. Now, you've been with Pixar for how long now?
Not long. I came on for Lightyear last summer. So not a full year yet. It just, I don't know, the timing just kind of worked out where I was wrapping up at another studio right around the time when Pixar was looking for people to get involved with Lightyear. So I got hired, and I didn't know what project I was going to be attached to at first.
Right.
And then when I found out, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, Buzz is such an iconic character, like you said, like for all these years that we've known, and now we're seeing him in a completely different and new setting for you. Did you feel a little bit of fear, taking on such an iconic character?
Yeah, it's definitely intimidating. I mean, coming on board to Pixar in general is intimidating because everybody here is a master of their craft, right? So it's it's like any time you start a new job, there's always that kind of insecurity, but everybody here has been so nice and supportive throughout the whole thing. Like they really make you feel like you're part of the studio very quickly. So there's a bit of anxiety, but then you just get wrapped up in the excitement of working on the project.
Definitely. So when you joined the project last year, what were your roles on the film? Like, what's something in the film that you looked at and you're like, that is me. Those are my fingerprints on this scene. I want people to know that I did that.
Well, I don't know. Some of this, I guess, it'd be kind of spoilery for me to talk about anything specific.
If you can't talk about it, that's totally okay. But I guess, is there any characters specifically or scenes that you could vaguely describe?
Well, I spent a lot of time working with Buzz, actually.
That's good.
I kind of got attached to a lot of like some of the like really frantic action sequences.
Right.
Like this movie has like a lot of really cool action sequences, and so
definitely.
Yeah. So like a lot of like very physical kind of moving around and stuff. So it was a lot of that stuff. It was a lot of fun.
That's great.
That's really cool. Now you got a chance to obviously work on Buzz. Is there another character from the Toy Story world that you'd love to one day see have their own movie, or you'd love to work on as well?
I was kind of thinking about this when like early in the production, when I realized like, okay, so now Buzz has his own movie. Like there's so many other characters that you could have like a whole backstory for in their own film. But I mean, I guess Woody's already kind of spoken for his background. I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about it some more.
No worries.
I just remember thinking like there's so many characters that could have their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see at some point, maybe in maybe the Lightyear sequel, we get to see the three-eyed aliens kind of show up. Like they're such a cool and fun character. Why not have them involved?
Yeah. Yeah, I was at Disney World just before the pandemic, actually, and went on the Lightyear ride where you sit in the things and you run around and you shoot all the, and it's like the little aliens and Zurg is there and stuff. Yeah, I love those little guys. I'd like to see them too.
Yeah, definitely. Or just give us like a Jurassic Park, but it's all just everyone looks like Rex.
That'd be fun. Yeah,
that'd be so scary. We spoke with your director earlier this week, Angus, and we were talking about how he uses Lego when coming up with his ideas and planning out things. I was just curious, what's your process like when you're getting into this? How do you approach your work, and how do you approach the animation that you're working on?
So I guess early on, there would be a stage where you're kind of just pulling reference of anything that could have anything to do with the film, right? So Angus had a lot of films that he said would be good things to keep in mind. So you rewatch some of those films. There's a lot of like animation lectures about specific techniques and stuff. So you watch those. You watch through like storyboard reels, and you have to spend some time kind of familiarizing yourself with the characters, because
right.
I mean, this is Buzz, but it's not necessarily the same Buzz as from Toy Story, right? So you kind of have to like sink yourself into his mind and what sets him apart animation wise from the way you might have seen him in the past,
right?
Things like that. So there's a lot of that kind of work up front, and then they kind of start you off with some kind of basic scenes, so you can just kind of get your feet wet and get used to the software and everything. And then it just kind of builds up from there. So then you're taking on larger shots, more complex shots. So yeah, but I mean the actual process, once you're into animating a shot, you would put together kind of like a rough pass of it first, and then that gets shown to the director, and obviously they give you notes about what's working, what's not, and then you just continuously refine it until it's over the finish line.
I love that. That's awesome. Now, you've had the opportunity to work with different studios in the animation field. What advice do you have for people who want to get into the animation world, or even maybe work at Pixar one day?
Well, so when I got into it, I went to school at Sheridan here, like in the Toronto area in Oakville, which was the kind of the straightforward way to get into the industry. Is like most people go to Sheridan or Cal Arts, or there's a lot of other schools now, like way more than there were when I was in school. But these days there's also a lot of options online. Like I know a lot of people who have done things like Animation Mentor, which is like very highly regarded. So there's a lot of online schools that have a good reputation. So you could go through any number of those courses. But there's also a lot of people who don't even go to school, and they just kind of teach themselves, right? So if you're the kind of person who is very like kind of motivated and you can keep yourself on task, as long as you're constantly pushing yourself to do better work, and you're all constantly trying to learn and you're showing your work to people and getting feedback, like eventually you're going to get on track where you're going to get noticed by a studio, and they'll be interested in picking you up.
That's fantastic. That's great advice. Rob, thank you so much for your time. We're so excited to have Lightyear finally coming out into the world. And congratulations to you and the entire team on the amazing job you did on this film. We're so grateful for your time again today. Thank you.
And thanks for having me.
No worries. Take care.
You too.
Hi, Emily. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Shahbaz.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. We love this movie, and we're so happy that you're joining us to talk about it today. How's your day going?
It's going well so far. I'm so glad to talk with you. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh, of course, anytime. We are huge Pixar fans, and it's very surreal to have you on the show. And I think we say all the time that I think the world of animation is something that so unfortunately gets overlooked sometimes in terms of the credit. So anytime we can help in our way to bring that to light, and anyway, we're here for that. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
How does it feel to finally have this film releasing into the world? It's been a long run to the finish line, but how are you feeling today?
Oh, I feel it feels great. I'm really excited for this one, especially because it's going to be on the big screen on IMAX, and it's the first time that Pixar is actually like making a movie for IMAX. And I've been working on this movie for 1.5 years, so it's just wonderful to finally release it in the world and let it go. It has a life of its own now.
Definitely. Was the experience working in IMAX, like, how was that different for you than any other projects that you've worked on with Pixar?
First of all, it's like the actual frame of it, instead of being like a rectangle, it's because my computer screen is not bigger. I do have a very big computer screen, but it's mostly for the framing. And then when it comes to technical stuff, I would always get confused and ask to make sure that I have the proper settings on my monitor to make sure that I would see the right thing. But it is like a bigger scale. Like, instead of having the rectangle, like I said, they add space on top of the bottom, so you have like more room to animate stuff. And it's a different, like, you need to, like, you're basically making sure that everything works in the frame in terms of action and where things start and when things finish. There's more challenges with IMAX because, first of all, we haven't really done it before, and also the screen is bigger, so we have more room to explore with all that stuff. On top of it being like a film that's very realistic in a very real world, so all that adds like technical challenges and just having to make sure that it feels real, it feels grounded. And I think Angus talks a lot about that stuff too in multiple interviews, how things need to feel tactile and real, and the weight of everything. And
Now,
does that make sense?
It 100% does. Don't worry.
I had a bit of a two-part question here for you. So, what are some of the movies that you loved growing up that really got you into animation? And are any of those movies the reels behind you that you have there?
They're empty reels. I wish. well, actually, one of them is they're empty cans from they're from Pixar. So one of them has like Luxo Jr. written on it. So I'm like, oh my God, I need to grab that.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously, like, my experience with Pixar dates from like the 90s when they were doing commercials. I remember the first thing I saw from them was the Luxo ball, but also the Luxo lamp and the ball, I mean, and also my mind is blanking, the little snowman, Knick Knack.
Yes.
I remember seeing that short in some sort of competition in Montreal when I was like 9 or 10 years old. And it's funny because back then it was like very like primitive CG. Like, anything that was CG was like animated renderings of flowers opening and stuff like that. But Knick Knack had a story to it, which was, to me as a kid, it's like, oh my gosh, I actually like, this is fun to watch.
Yeah.
And then obviously Toy Story. I was a teenager when it came out, and a lot of the stuff, a lot of the animated movies that were coming out at the time were In traditional animation, a lot of them were just different kind of stories. A lot of musicals and a lot of more fairy tale, and Toy Story had a more, like, to me, seemed like a modern twist. Like it was taking place in my bedroom, sort of, with my toys, kind of thing. And I thought that was so clever, and also a clever use of CG that was not necessarily ready to go much further. And segue to today, that's the thing that's kind of cool with Lightyear. It's when you watch the first Toy Story and you watch Lightyear, it's insane. Everybody says that, but it really feels when you're working on it, it's
no,
like,
for sure.
oh my God. Yeah.
It's beautiful. And you mentioned Angus earlier. We spoke with him about how he uses Lego, and then talking about how he uses Lego in planning his films. What's your process like when you're working on these films? Do you use anything? Do you use toys when you're looking at shots or anything?
I do for this one. I often, what I'll do is I'll open the scene and I'll just have the character, and I'll make sure that I'll have the camera view, but I'll also have the character in an open space, kind of like when you're in a video game and you're moving the camera around the character, because I want to make sure that, when the character is moving, it's in real space. I'm not having the character like levitate above the ground and moving faster. So I thought that was very interesting. Angus played with Legos, and I remember him mentioning things like it feels like very CG 3D space.
Yeah, right.
For me, that there's something I relate to that with the just blocking basically just a stick figure around this, to make sure that when they move around, it's the right speed, it's the right amount of time between each steps and motions like this. I'll do video reference, and then I'll often have some peers look at my shot, and we have what we call a draw-over artist, who will sometimes like sketch poses on top of our rough animation. And I love that relationship with the draw-over artist. I do a lot of life drawing and gesture drawing, and that also helps me to, when you have something that's stylized and exaggerated, to start with something that feels real and that's based in reality.
Right.
So the life drawing is not necessarily of the actual shot I'm animating, but it's kind of training your brain to the human body and different types of bodies, and how they feel grounded and all. And the draw-over artist, like, usually it's someone that's very experienced and knows the character as well too. And when they draw the character, it's often like a wonderful pose and like super on model, and it just helps me to guide. It's not animating on top of what I do, but it's just a guide for like a pose, especially with these characters who are very blocky. The costumes of Buzz is like this big round sphere around his chest, and
Thank you so much, Emilie, and for that answer, for everything. We're so excited to have this movie out in the world and for everyone to catch it this week. So thank you so much again for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for the podcast.
Thank you. Of course. Hi, Donald. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Anthony.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. We're so excited to talk about this movie. We loved Lightyear, and it's so nice to have it out in the world. How are you feeling now that we're finally crossing that finish line and getting it released for the world to see?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely super excited. This is my first Pixar movie.
Congrats.
As an animator, Pixar has always been the dream, and to finally get to that point and to be able to work on Lightyear and have it be the first movie, that I worked on, it's like, it's a dream come true. Like, every day I'm just like, oh man, I can't believe I got to experience that. So yeah, no, I'm super excited. I see ads everywhere. My son, like, he's a toddler, he sees like the poster, he's like, oh, daddy worked on that. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, it must be amazing. And of course, of all characters, it's Buzz Lightyear. It's the first, like, one of the first Pixar major film characters ever, and now it's out in the world. And congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, I remember growing up watching Toy Story, and Buzz Lightyear was always like a huge thing. And then I was watching that Disney Plus, they made like a documentary about
Yes.
Buzz, and it's just
Yeah.
like I never realized how big of a thing Buzz Lightyear actually was. It's like
Yeah.
all the different toys and merch and stuff. Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Definitely.
he's huge. He's huge for the world, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Donald, what did you specifically work on for Lightyear? What was your expertise, or where did you?
Yeah.
belong
So
with that?
I'm an animator. So essentially, I make the performances that you see on screen. I mean, a lot of people always ask me when I tell them I'm an animator, oh, so you must draw a lot. Like, that's totally not the case anymore. That's like traditional animation. Like, we're talking Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and stuff. So I do 3D animation, and it's like, it's all in the computer. It's basically like a toy inside the computer posed like this. And then it's my job to, like, meticulously pose each frame to make something believable. It's kind of,
Right.
how like when you were a kid and you had like action figures and you kind of like make them move around. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically that essentially, but it just takes a lot longer.
Is there a specific shot in this movie that you're looking forward to being like, yeah, that was me. I did that. That
Yeah,
has a
yeah.
difference on it.
For sure, absolutely. The cool thing about Pixar is that they really give you like a long chunk of shots to work on. So you kind of take ownership of maybe like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And it really puts you into the shoes of like a filmmaker. So because you're basically doing a run of shots, you have to make sure like the rhythm and the flow and the energy and all that stuff connects.
Right.
So yeah, I got to work on like a specific chunk where Buzz Lightyear, he meets Izzy, and then they're like kind of walking through the like hangar. They get to meet the A-Team basically. So I did that part where he's like kind of looking around, and then you see like the footsteps stomp down, and you see like that cool action pose of all the other characters. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. I'm definitely really proud of that. I can't wait to see it.
How long does it usually take you to build something like that?
Yeah. So quite a while. I think the average, they say like for features, maybe like 2 to 3 seconds a week worth of animation is done, which is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, that's like 48 to 72 frames. So I mean that took around 2 to 3 months for me to finish from start to finish. Yeah, like with all the planning. So actually the animating part is, I would say, half the battle. It's like you want to plan it, you want to make sure like the story beats are reading and all that stuff. So it takes quite a while. I shoot reference as well. So that's like you set up a camera and you basically act in front of it, pretend you're Buzz or something. Yeah. So it took a while.
I bet. And it's so funny that you say you did that. We were talking with Emilie before, and we spoke with your director as well, Angus MacLane, who was saying that he uses Lego whenever he's planning his shots, and he's a huge Lego guy. So it's just so cool that you're using whatever you can like to get that reference. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, sometimes like if it's like a action shot or something complicated, or like airplanes flying, I can't really act it out with my body. Sometimes I'll just use my hand, or like or there's like a lot of sound effects too. For so whatever reason, it helps sell it, or it gets me into like that zone.
Now, before Pixar, you said this is your first Pixar film that you're working with them. Were you working with them before on other projects, or is this your first time working with them ever?
Yeah, this is my first time working with them. I was at like other studios before, and the goal was always to get to Pixar eventually. So again, dream come true.
What excited you most about joining that Pixar family?
I mean, it's like the pinnacle of animation, right? Everyone wants to get there, wants to work with the best. So I think it was that I just wanted to be surrounded with like-minded people who are at the peak of their craft, and to just learn from them and everything. And being here afterwards is just realizing how collaborative and humble everyone is, and like very nice and welcoming. So that's the part I enjoy the most. Yeah,
I bet.
Now, working at Pixar is such an open and collaborative environment. What was it like for you having to work remotely during the pandemic to finish this film?
Oh, that's a great question. It wasn't too bad, to be honest. I feel like I'm introverted, so it kind of like being able to have like smaller meetings or more one-on-one time screen time wise. I think it was pretty good. for me. And also in terms of like work family life balance, I have a toddler, so being able to work from home was great. And also to be able to like make your own schedule, you know, like whatever works best for you in terms of how much you can work. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad. I feel like, you know, the entirety of my career up to this point has been in person, so it's been a nice switch to see the other side of.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, we have a Buzz Lightyear movie, of course, and we know more about where Woody comes from Woody's Roundup, from Toy Story 2. I'm just curious, is there a character from the Toy Story gang that you would want to see have their own spin-off film one day?
That's a great question. I mean, they probably won't make a movie about this guy. Like Forky, I think is. Yeah, I mean, they made like I like all those shorts about, you know, him asking questions and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I don't know, just such a hilarious character. The design's funny, and like Tony Hill's a great voice
Tony
actor.
Hill's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Do you have any advice? Now, we have a lot of listeners. Do you have any advice
Sure.
for those who are getting into this field and
Yeah.
becoming animators?
I mean, I think it takes a lot of work, and to just keep at it seems pretty generic. But I feel like that truly is like the advice I kept close to me, just because it's a hard industry to get into or be successful. It's really time consuming. And I think there's like a lot of failures for sure. I mean, you hear stories about people applying to Pixar 2-3 times before they're getting in, and
Right.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
I
Even your
mean,
own director was tweeting about that recently too.
yeah,
Right?
for sure. Yeah, he got rejected before getting in. So yeah, I don't know. I think I mean, also living your life. I think a lot of times like animation students, they like want to be a really good animator. They want to get to Pixar, and that's all they do. They just like work, and they don't take a break. I think I'm realizing now having break and a life outside of work is really important, especially as an animator, because you're observing from life and you're drawing inspiration from that and putting it into your work. So to be able to go outside and do other things and observe people, it's really important too. Yeah.
I love that. Our last question today, we don't want to take up too much of your time, but
Sure.
you know, we have Lightyear coming out this Friday. There are so many other films and TV shows coming out this year. Is there anything you're looking forward to now that, you know, this project is finished? Maybe you get some downtime, you get to watch and enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, it's already out. Like Obi-Wan, the series is
of course.
pretty amazing. I mean, I grew up loving Star Wars. I think my first email address is like Kenobi something at hotmail.com. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. The Boys, I think, yeah, hilarious stuff.
That's great.
I mean, Thor, I love me a good summer blockbuster, so
Definitely.
looking forward to that. Yeah.
There's a lot to look forward to, and of course, Lightyear is going to be a big one this summer. So Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Thank you for what you do for this, what you did on this film. We're so excited for everyone to catch it this week. So thank you again, Donald.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you. And we are back. There we go. Some more Canadian animated talent joining us on the show today, and from none other than Pixar. Anthony, how are you feeling today right now?
It's amazing to learn everything when it comes to animation. You have to be like a genius, because it's just not drawing, it's like mathematics. And
you get nothing for free in animation. You know what I mean?
And with today's animation, it's on a whole nother level. If we look back at 1995's Toy Story to now, which is what, how many years ago?
27 years.
27 years. The evolution from Toy Story to now is just beyond comprehension. The technology that they use, like when you go see Lightyear, you're going to see things that you've never seen before. And these animators are so talented. To create what they create is just, they have to be, like I said, these geniuses and wizards when it comes to this type of filmmaking style. But yeah, it was so nice to connect with them and learn from them.
Definitely. Shahbaz, how are you feeling right now?
Great again. I mean, again, like Anthony pretty much kind of covered it.
I'm doing the vibe checks with you guys.
Just like Anthony covered it. We have, again, seeing Canadian talent be brought on the show is always such a beautiful thing, because I mean, we are a Canadian show. But to know that, again, these are the voices and the hands really behind the creation of, like Anthony said, the most beautiful looking animated film. That's great. Like that's such a star on our flag, even though our flag doesn't have any stars.
That's a maple leaf on our flag.
Oh,
what I
is that
mean?
what it is? Oh,
That's what it is. Yeah,
I
I think
thought it
we're
was
gonna
an
have a flag
arrow.
with 50 different maple leaves on
50,
it.
50 maple leaves,
Yeah.
one for each resident of this country. Yeah, we're a small country.
Very small country. But yeah, I mean, what more can we say? You know, we've been very lucky to talk a lot about Disney Pixar's Lightyear this week. Earlier this week, we had Angus MacLane, the director, producer Galyn Susman, and composer Michael Giacchino join us. We had our review just go live. We got to work with Disney Studios Canada on a giveaway to give you a chance to see it early. So there's just lots to listen to right now on the Movie Podcast feed. We're so grateful that you're here. We're so humbled that we get these opportunities. And the greatest thing about all this is that we have lots more coming. So please make sure you follow us across all socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Letterboxd. See all of the incredible episodes we have coming your way. We have lots of great talent. We have lots of great Canadian talent joining us on the show in the coming weeks, and a few surprise guests as well too. So make sure you follow us. You don't want to miss a thing, I promise you. And I'm not just singing the Aerosmith song. That was This Time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.